What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the previous wrapping videos. Today we're going to be continuing on the EF Sedan, but before we get to it, I want to show you guys something. During the vinyl wrapping process, I did mention that we ran out of material for the roof and the trunk. I did order new vinyl wrap in a very close color, and I've been taking a couple of days off just waiting for it to show up. And it's supposed to show up in 2 days, except it showed up early. But I will tell you guys, we're not going to be wrapping in today's video. I did take the vinyl out of the packaging earlier to compare it to the color that's currently on the car, and I will say that it is a slightly lighter color right here, and this is the wrap that's currently on the car. This is 3M Gloss Icy Blue, and this one right here is from TinyBot Vinyl called Gloss Metallic Mist Blue. So at the end of the day, if this company comes on board with me, this is the color we're going to go with. And if we do end up changing the color, the trunk and the roof will be out of the way already. Plus, I'd rather have this nice glossy finish opposed to the current surface, which is sanded down and primered. Now, I did read a lot of you guys' reply in the previous wrapping videos about my dilemma with running out of vinyl for the roof and the trunk. I did mention that the hood vinyl cutout was enough for the driver's side door and fender, but fortunately for me, I had enough cutouts to lay down vinyl on the door and the fender, and the cutout we had for the hood, I was able to lay the hood down to the same color as the rest of the car. Before I found the cutouts, you guys were telling me to use the vinyl cutout for the hood on the driver's side door and fender, and then suggested that I do the hood, roof, and trunk in either black or carbon. Trust me, you guys, I thought about it because my first EF Sedan was Rust-Oleum Smoke Gray, and then later down the year I did a black roof, hood, and trunk in Rust-Oleum Gloss Black. I really love the look because it kind of flowed with the entire car, black wheels, black trims and everything, and then eventually I painted everything back to gray and I sold the car. Now, because I thought about it and I was in that predicament of, you know, running out of vinyl for the roof and the trunk and debating about the hood vinyl wrap, I did order carbon as well too, 6D to be exact, from TinyBot website while I ordered the blue one. So I do have carbon wrap right here, enough to do either the roof and trunk or the hood. But this is just going to be extra now because I'm not going to use it because I want to stick to my game plan of building a sleeper. My definition of a sleeper is stock body on the outside, you know, looking OE. Don't think much of it other than maybe the ITAR wheels, but it's K-swap all-wheel drive turbo. Now, enough talk with the vinyl wrapping because we're not wrapping in today's video, so I don't want to hype you guys up too much, but I do have dyno day in 2 days and I need to get my car ready for it. Now, I did wrap this bottom section of the trunk off camera last night because I was bored, and that's looking nice and uniform, looking sharp. Now, if you guys don't remember, my tuner is Jeremy from REDZONERACE, and he lives out in Las Vegas. Now, he's going to be flying up here to tune a group of cars, and I am one of them. So my car is swapped with a K20 A2 bone stock CRV 5-speed all-wheel drive transmission with a Bull Boost GTX 3582R, and I have driven this thing on the street plenty of times. I've driven it on the freeway, and nothing major that needs to be addressing other than a minor leak from a cheap fitting that I'm using on the return line, which again is not too big of a deal, and you know, I'm just, as long as I keep my oil topped off, will be okay. I do have fittings on the way to change the entire line out and build a new one, but aside from the engine itself, mechanically it sounds really good. And I have been driving on stock injectors right here, and we need to swap them out to get it all ready for the dyno so I don't have to do it when I'm over there. So today we're going to be doing injector installs. I don't want to sound like I'm talking too much, but I want to explain my whole thought process really quickly. So one of the 3 vlogs that I lost in my memory card was when I went over to my friend Chris Built house to pick up my new long block. My long block is currently sitting in the garage, wrapped up for when the day comes, this engine will shine. So this engine was built by Chris. It is rated for 900 horsepower, and I originally had that engine built because I wanted to make a ton of power in the wagon. I had a goal with this car for a very long time. I wanted to be a one-off car, a lot of power, go fast, look the way it does, because I think my wagon looks pretty unique compared to a lot that I've seen out there in the interweb these days. But I wanted to put a lot of power to it. I wanted to go fast. I wanted to be just a one-of-one wagon, right? But because the goal that I'm shooting for to make would require me to go E85, and because obviously I don't drive the wagon enough. I don't want the car to sit there with, say if I made 700 horsepower with E85 in the line, the pump, the tank, the injectors. I don't want it to rot out or clog up my fuel system. I decided to use the long block in a car that's going to be more active, which is my sedan, and that motor is going to be coming in here in due time. So in order for me to make my power goals, which is like 650, that means I'm going to need injectors to support that power level. Now the biggest injectors that I have is in the wagon. I have ID2000s, and the injectors I was planning to use in this car was my FIC 1650s, right? But they both use different plugs, and I don't want to have to modify my harness twice. One now for whatever injector I'm running in this car, and then again later down the road when I switch over to the ID2000s. Now because I shown you guys the new turbo manifold setup we're going to be swapping into the wagon, that means that car is going to need a retune anyways. So while we are swapping the manifold, the turbo in the wagon, I may as well swap the injectors out as well too. So that means I'd rather just take the IDs out now, wire it once into this car, tune it this weekend, and then throw the new injector turbo manifold setup in the wagon and then tune that car later. I decided that I'm going to keep this car at a subtle 450. I don't need anything more than that. 450 is achievable on pump gas, especially for when the car sits a long period of time. It's not going to like clog up the system. Pump 91. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to pop the ID2000s out of there. I'm going to slap it in here, and because this both have a similar setup, stock K20 A2 Type S sidewinder with a pretty decent sized turbo, the tune map in that car should actually work in here, as long as I switch out the map sensor for a 3 or 4 bar, I don't remember. So grab my tools and start popping my injectors out of that car. Now if you guys know me, I really hate taking anything out of a running car for a different car. Usually if I needed something, I'd buy it or whatever, but because we're going to be switching the entire setup and the injectors are going to change anyways, this car is going to be out of commission for just a little bit until we get to it. I'll go ahead and just disconnect this. We did pop this out a couple weeks ago. We took the injectors out because I was supposed to go tune with my buddy Bernie in his EJ8, but unfortunately my car didn't make it to the dyno the first time, so I threw it back in to ensure we don't have any holes exposed to let elements get inside the engine. But this time we're going to be taking it out for good. One of the other main reasons why I need these injectors as well, whether I use it or not, is because my FICs are for B series and I don't have the top hats for them. I do need to get some new hardware for this just to simplify removing it, and also the spacer down here, I'm gonna have to cut out a round tubing to make it a one piece instead of having multiple spacers, because if you take it out one too many times, you lose a spacer and you can't find it, well, you're kind of ass out of luck. We got the injectors out, and I remember last time we took it out, these hats were stuck in here, so I'm gonna have to find a way to get these hats off without destroying them. I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap the top hats here with some electrical tape so I can squeeze it. This might be a little cringe, guys, so close your eyes. Okay, not too shabby. Our rings look good. Okay, so the ID2000s has its own plug, which is currently in the wagon. I checked my ID1050X, and these guys use their own plug as well too, which I have brand new. And I can't use these on the ID2000s. The FIC 1650s, which is what I was supposed to use in my car, but these have B series top hats, and these also use OBD1 style plug, so I can't use those. And then I checked my Graham 1600s. These also use OBD1 plugs, so I don't even have plugs for these guys, but OBD1 plugs. And it looks like I'm just gonna have to cut the plugs off the wagons and use it in my sedan, and eventually when I get back to the wagon, I'll wire it for the OBD1s and use these injectors once I get the K series top hats, because Again, these are for B series. So yeah, I'm gonna go do a little snipperoo and we'll get into the hood of the EF Sedan. My feed lines on this car is an 8. I pop off this 180 here, and then on the other side we have a straight. We got some fuel in here. Oh man, that thing is pissing. That's at least $5 coming out right there. Take off the ground. OEM injector clips. $12mm for the rail. I'm gonna pop the entire thing off here to take it to the workbench to install my injectors easier. Man, I wasted about $6 worth of gas right there. If you guys are in Cali, man, our gas prices are crazy right now. Comparison here between O-ring to O-ring, about the same height. I'm gonna use the factory fuel injectors on the wagon fuel rail for now, just to plug up the holes. And I'm not gonna waste time to try to wire it for these stock injectors, since we have to rewire it for the FIC 1650s, which is the OBD ones. And we'll do that at a later time. So that goes on like so. I'm putting WD-40 in here just to slip it in a little bit easier, because you know, you just can't go in dry. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this back into the wagon. I'm gonna throw these into the intake manifold first. It's always important to make sure your injectors have some play. You don't want to compress it too tightly. And it looks like all my injectors can spin in circles, so that's good. I need to get my soldering iron and stuff so we can start modifying the harness for the ID2000 plugs. My soldering iron has seen better days, but you know what? It still works. Injector 1, done. Injector number 2, done. Injector 3, done. Injector number 4, done. Routing the harness back through. One, 2, 3, 4. Put the ground back on. Harness cover goes back on as well too. All right, so one more thing I need to do before we get the ECU and computer into the car is I need to switch out my map sensor, since the wagon has a 4-bar, and I don't know if I have a 4-bar. I might have a 3. I think I stuck it in the glove box. Let me check. Oh yeah, so we have Omni 4-bar. Oh, it's a 4-bar. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch this out. That is a B series TPS sensor, since we are using a B series skunk tooth throttle body, and I hope they're Phillips. This is gonna be a little tricky to get the O-ring to sit in place, since it is sitting upside down, and the groove for the O-ring is on the throttle body, not on the map sensor. And then you can see the O-ring just sitting right there on the map sensor. Got the 4-bar with the O-ring. Look at the map sensor right there. So first and foremost, okay, I'm not a tuner. but I do like tuna. I'm gonna go ahead and connect the USB to the laptop, right? And then turn the key into the on position. Car's in neutral. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and just download from the ECU, since this is my startup slash you know, map to drive around on. And because I mentioned earlier that this setup is very similar to the wagon, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load up the wagon tune map in here, which is already for the ID2000. So I'm gonna go EF Sedan startup. Actually, I already have it right there saved, EF Sedan K20 A2 startup, and then another startup in January. These are actually both in January. I don't know if I made any changes in between, but I am going to save it just in case. I don't know what today's date is, but just going to put it in April. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my map for the wagon, which is wagon 6266 tuned. This was last year. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open this one. This is the only one that's in there. And then I'm gonna load this one into the ECU, and then I'm gonna make some of the changes, like making sure my map sensor is set for 4-bar. So I don't know why I moved that, but map sensor, replacement sensor, Omni 4-bar, it's already set there. Just want to make sure my injectors are 2000s. Dead times are already there. And then another thing is my transmission is, the speed sensor is 0204, so I got to make sure that is the correct one. So it says right here, normal speed sensor, counter shaft speed sensor. So it's already selected in the correct one, which is weird because the wagon is the counter shaft speed sensor. So I'm not sure why that was selected for the wagon. Other than that, ELD disabled. I don't have any O2 sensors in here. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't have to do anything. I am going to go check to make sure we're not leaking in the fuel injector. We're looking good, looking good. That's the WD-40 I sprayed on earlier. The KRX is on right now because I don't drive it often as of late, because I've just been here building this car, and I just want to make sure the battery is still good in that car, even though it fired over on its own. So I guess we're ready to just turn this thing over, huh? Sorry, I didn't mean to take off the light here, but there we go. Or this way. All right, so I'm gonna roll the car down the driveway a little bit because we are pointed right into the garage. Should be fine. And in case you guys are wondering again, the check engine light is for the e-brake, because this is not a USDM cluster. So go ahead and turn this thing over. Man, freaking battery. Got my wagon hooked up to my Honda battery. You see how convenient these charge posts are? Heck yeah. All right, take 1000. Let's go. So tomorrow or later tonight, I need to go buy spark plugs and an O2 sensor, so that way you know, Jeremy can tune this car with the factory O2 sensor, and it's just going to be more convenient for the long run when I'm driving this car, instead of external wideband sensor. I normally run like the X series from AEM, but I'm probably going to put the factory O2 sensor in here, and we should be ready to rock and roll. Other than topping off fluid, which I kind of did the day I drove it to the alignment shop, but doesn't hurt to check it again. Other than that, all we needed to do was put the injectors into the car, and you know, one less thing to do when we're at the dyno. So I'm gonna let this car warm up a little bit. Probably gonna take it around the block. Drives really well. That's it. Injectors done. All I wanted to do today was just to swap the injectors from my wagon into my sedan. Typically on the fresh build, I would drive the car to the dyno with the stock injectors, and then I'll swap it out over there. Jeremy would insert all the dead times and then drive it up into the dyno so he can do his thing. This time I just want to show up, wait for my turn, go up on the dyno, Jeremy work his magic, bring it off the dyno, and call it a day. It also helps to do things ahead of time, just so that if you ran into any type of issues, you can try to address it before the actual dyno day, just so that it don't give you the runaround if you had came across those issue while we're over there, which we've had that issue many and plenty of times where we got to run to parts stores and fix things on the spot and just have other people go up on a dyno and like skip my turns. As mentioned, the last two things that I need is an O2 sensor and spark plugs. Spark plugs, I can get it here or over there at the O'Reilly's, and the O2 sensor, I could technically take it out of the wagon because one, it's brand new, two, it's not even connected to the harness in the car. But regardless, if I don't get the O2 sensor, Jeremy does have his O2 sensor that's attached to his machine, so we can always hook that up. Aside from topping off fluids, this car is ready to rock and roll. We drove around the block. There's no weird hiccups or anything. I'm still debating if I want to drive the car to the dyno or tow it. One, I haven't really driven the car long enough to know how it would react to driving long distance. I've only driven it 15 miles back and forth to the alignment shop, and the car drives beautifully. Not gonna lie to you guys, aside from it being super stiff with the drag suspension coilovers, it drives really well. So the other option is to tow it, which I still have Fred's tow dolly here because he allows me to keep it here. Granted, he doesn't have space at his place, but I have the tow dolly available. The car is still front wheel drive. I could two-wheel dolly it to the dyno just in case for any reason I'm able to still bring the car home. I guess I'll figure that out as we get closer to the dyno day, but as far as this video goes, I'm gonna wrap it up right here, guys. I did what I need to do. I did show you guys we got vinyl wrap, so maybe possibly tomorrow after a once over with the engine bay of the car, I might end up just wrapping the trunk and roof, or maybe the roof and a trunk a different day. I don't know. That is the reason why the car is parked backwards. It's because it shows signs that it's going to be possibly slight % chance of rain, and I don't want the back half of the car to sit out past the canopy and the rain would you know, rain on the repaired areas and create rust later down the road. I don't want that issue, so I got the car parked backward just to protect it from the rain if it rains. So I did what I had to do, swap my injectors. Car ran great, you guys heard it. I was tempted to get on it, but don't want to do that now. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap up this video right here. Hope you guys enjoyed the progress update on the EF Sedan with the ID2000 injector installation. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around for the dyno video or the wrap, whichever one comes first, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.